Has anyone lived in a small town? Okay, so likely we have all been part of the business for small town businesses. So most of my speech here is going to be off of my personal experience working at the Igloo, hence the shirt. I worked there for 2 years, so a lot of what I'm going to say is on personal accounts. I also have used my boss, Marilyn McDonald. She runs the Igloo right now, and she gave me a few little stats and background of the Igloo. I also use the U.S. Small Business Association's website to get a little more information on businesses around the U.S. and statistics based on that. So, today I would like to share information about the Igloo and small town businesses. I'm going to first talk about the Igloo and what we're about and what we do. And then I'm going to share some facts about small town businesses in the U.S. and then what they contribute, and then finally explain what I love about small town businesses. I want to begin by talking about the Igloo. The more you understand the Igloo, you'll understand why I love it so much. So, this is Marilyn McDonald, and then this is her husband, Trent. They both currently run the Igloo. They started about spring of 2015. They started working there. And Marilyn grew up in the Silver Lake area all her life. She actually went to my high school, Tippecanoe Valley, and graduated as salutatorian. And she worked in the previous Igloo that her stepdad owned. So that's where she kind of got the name Igloo. She wanted to keep it in the family and continue that type of business. She started the Igloo because she kind of saw a need for the community. We didn't really have any ice cream places except for here in Warsaw, and that's about 20 minutes away from where the Igloo is. So she decided to bring it in. She already had Subway. She was starting Subway, and it just became a nice little connection for the Igloo to be by Subway. People get their food, then they can get a treat after. So she decided to start that. First of all, our ice cream comes from the chocolate shop. It's based off of Michigan. That's where most of the shipment comes from. But here's our nutritional information. We have this on the back of our pints that we provide. Don't even ask. This is the best ice cream made in Wisconsin, and it tastes so good because it has gobs of rich Wisconsin cream, tons of real ingredients for boatloads of luscious flavors. It means it's not low fat, low calorie, or low anything, and that's why everyone loves it. You want nutrition, eat carrots. So a lot of the locals get a kick out of that. So here is our hand-dipped flavors. We have around 32. Sometimes we have some seasonal flavors like pumpkin, banana cream pie, caramel apple pie, stuff like that. Oh, s'mores. S'mores is delicious. Some of the customer favorites: black cherry. This just got serious. My personal favorite. Espresso Oreo, butter pecan, and coconut almond bliss. Our sizes are based off of like juniors 2 scoops, singles 3 scoops, and doubles 5. We're double dippings allowed. So, and then we have soft serve ice cream, vanilla, chocolate, and another local favorite, lemon. We also have our own homemade waffle cones, and I asked Marilyn how much we actually have sold, and in the past 2 years we have sold 11,669 waffle cones. It's a lot of waffle cones to make, so we go through those pretty quick. We also have sundaes. This is our tin roof sundae, and then we have our banana split, which is also a big favorite. The amount of ice cream we've actually sold, single dips, like I said, was 3 scoops. We've sold 23,577 single dips, and that's approximately 70,731 scoops of ice cream. So it's not even the big scooper. We didn't even include that, but people love our ice cream. We've also grown from last year about 14,000 units. So individual things we sold has grown that much, so it's a growing business. She never thought it was going to get that big, but it's awesome. We also have kind of local events. We have our cruise-in night. We get the grill out, get some hot dogs going. They bring in their cool cars, and that's a really fun deal. We also have bike night, which most of the bikers come, and we have the same kind of thing. We have fundraisers, and then we also do participate in the Silver Lake Days, which is kind of like the fair type thing, and we participate in the parade there. Our customers, my favorite part. So the dinosaurs is kind of showing what kind of random customers we get around, and then we also have children and older adults, and they're all really awesome. Now that I've explained what the Igloo is and what we're about, I want to explain the importance of small town businesses to reflect how important the Igloo is, as well as other small town businesses. Small town businesses are really important for the community. They add character. I mean, I'm sure you guys think of your small town and know the businesses there. You get to really know the people, and it's just a quaint, awesome place to just kind of hang out. Small town businesses also provide jobs. Some statistics that I've gotten from the SBA, or the Small Business Association, is that small businesses provide 55% of all jobs and 66% of all net new jobs since the 1970s. So it's a big proportion of jobs. Another one is since 1990, as big business eliminated 4 million jobs, small businesses added 8 million new jobs. So they really add a lot to employment rate and stuff like that. And small town businesses are good for the economy. Another statistic is the 28 million small businesses in America account for 54% of all U.S. sales. And that is a big portion of sales. Finally, since I've explained why small town businesses are so important, I'd like to talk a little bit more about why the Igloo and businesses like it mean so much to me. I've kind of learned to call the Igloo my home, mostly because of the great community connected to it. We get the customers, and they're just so kind, so nice. And any small town business, they just really enjoy getting that connection and feel of the community there. The workers, I know personally I've been changed. Like the service, I've noticed service is such a huge deal, and just all that connection with everyone else. Everyone knows each other. I have multiple customers I know their order to a T, and it's really kind of fun. The lessons I've learned there, I've learned responsibility, hard work, all of that good stuff is super important. Today, I've gotten the opportunity to tell you about the Igloo, the importance of small town businesses, and what the Igloo and small town businesses mean to me. Now to conclude, I'd like to encourage you that during your time here at Grace to get to know the community. Go to the small towns and look into small businesses and see what they are about. Go to Java Jack's coffee shop in Mentone and give Jack a warm hello. Go to North Webster to the river and ask Kelly about how she's reaching out to teens. And go to the Winona Village and ask the owners how their little shops came to be. When you go, you'll see the meaning of community and how a place like a little ice cream shop is much more than just selling ice cream.
Imagine bumpy, curvy, mountainous roads with road bumps at every mile. Crazy hot temperatures, beautiful scenery, and one of the most prettiest places on this planet. What place am I talking about? I'm talking about the country of Grenada. The last few weeks of my senior year, my friend Naomi, she introduced me to this country. She was telling me about what her family has done in the country and the mission work that they've done, and I felt called to go. And so I graduated high school and started funding immediately. Some of you may have heard of the country of Grenada in a class like Global Perspectives, but you may not know what it's like there. Today I would like to share with you about the country of Grenada, first about the history, secondly about what the culture is like there, and thirdly about my own personal experience. I researched more about this country. My sources are from commonwealth.org, everyculture.com, and obviously my own experience. So the history of Grenada. This is Grenada. It's located in the Caribbean islands. This is the capital, and this was generally where I was at. The general history of Grenada. Christopher Columbus visited the country in 1498, named it Concepcion, but later Spain named it Grenada after its very own city. During this time, London and France were kind of at a battle to own the land in the first place. In 1605, London merchants landed on Grenada soil and tried to form a settlement but failed. France continued to launch attacks at London, trying to win the land, and they finally won it in 1674 over the people that was there before. In 1753, Grenada was a flourishing possession of the French, so all the the spices and the goods that they had was going towards them. The British later took over in 1763 under the Treaty of Paris and under the Treaty of Versailles. On February 7th, 1974, Grenada gained its independence finally from London, which was quite recently. Today, it's now known as the Isle of Spice. The religion and language, mainly English, used to be French Piotis, which is a form of Haitian Creole. The religions, Christianity, Roman Catholicism, and Anglican. Now that you know the basic history of Grenada, I want to talk to you about the culture there. So, it is a mixture of African, East Indian, French, and British. French from French Piotis, and British based on their dialect. They have like a mixture of British and Jamaican. It's really cool. They're really, really dark. They have a lot of melatonin in their skin because they're all of African descent. They tried to bring back French Piotis, but it was not very successful. The reason why Grenada is called the Island of Spice is because of this little spice right there. That's the nutmeg, which is a big export in Grenada. It's also a very big job provider for them as well. Now that you know a little bit about the culture of Grenada, I will tell you about my very own experience. So, like I said, living from Mansfield, Ohio, we had to travel from Mansfield, so Columbus, to North Carolina, to Miami, and then we landed in St. George's, right here, which is the capital. We drove upward, so throughout everything right here, there's a lot of road bumps, a lot of mountains, a lot of twists and turns. They're crazy drivers, so they don't really have rules like we do here in the States. So we drove from one end of the island to another end. We stayed in River Sally. This is the house that we stayed in. There was about 12 of us in this house. This was the kitchen. This was where the owner stayed. And this is where we had a bunch of our Bible studies and gets-togethers and dinners. We stayed in Grenada for 2 weeks. We spent the majority of our trips in Pearls, which is another village in Grenada. We spent a lot of time with the kids. This was our vacation Bible school. We had over 200 kids show up to our vacation Bible school, which was 3 days long. So each day it consistently grew, which was a great big blessing. We had a chance to have a worship night with another team there, which we ended up bonding as one big team. And we saw many people come to Christ through this whole trip. Some faces. This is Shanayla. She was one of the girls who came to Christ, which was really heartwarming for me because she was like a little sister to me. And then this is the view of St. George's. So it's very hilly, very mountainous, very pretty. Some small little tidbits that I've learned. There are a lot of dogs walking, so they can be owned or stray. We saw a lot of stray dogs there, and they would come to us acting like we were their owners. It was very sweet. We wanted to take one home, but we couldn't. Grenadians like to show affection. If you're walking the streets of St. George's or River Sally and you've only met them for like 2 minutes, they will tell you like how much they feel about you, like in an instant. So they'll tell you, "Oh my gosh, I love you so much. Will you marry me?" It's like, no. Even if you tell them that you're in a relationship, like, no, it won't work. And one more thing, I got stared at, and a couple of other people got stared at because of our skin tone. So they would look at us and be like, "Oh, another Grenadian. Let's bring them to this certain thing, or let's bring them this certain thing." But it was always their reactions to see, like, we were from the States. We're not from here. We don't know your culture. It was just interesting to see their reactions. So today, I told you about the history of Grenada, the culture of Grenada, and my very own personal experience. And one thing that I want to leave you with, something that I learned from the trip, is when a door is open, don't go through it and before it's way too late. And don't let anyone else tell you that you can't do anything based on your status or your financial status.
Alright, so I think that physical activity is important in everybody's life. I think it should be a big part of life. For some people, maybe that's volleyball at the collegiate level, maybe it's pickup basketball, G-Rec, maybe it's weightlifting. For me, it's running. I love running. I've been doing it for 7 years. I ran at the high school level for 5 years. I ran as an 8th grader on the varsity team. And I run now. This is my 2nd year running collegiately at Grace. I run cross country and track both. So I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about the different types of training for sprinting, middle distance, long distance, and then maybe a little bit for the kind of person who's not running competitively. They just want to run to be in shape, just maybe for fun, or if you want to do like a fun 5K or something. Most of my information comes from my own personal experience. Like I said, I've been running for 7 years, so I'll at least know a little bit anyway. I also talked to Coach Raymond, who's the head coach here at Grace, and I talked to 2 of my high school coaches. One was my mom, and the other was her assistant coach. So some credentials of me, or some I passed. I'm a 2-time regional champion. I won cross country 1 year, and I won the half mile 1 year. 4-time All-State, twice in the mile, once in the half mile, and once in cross country. I also hold, or I'm part of 6 school records. I have the mile, the half mile, the 2 mile, the 5K, and then I'm part of the 4x4 and the 4x8 records. So that's just a little bit about me. So to start us off, we'll talk about sprints, middle distance, and then long distance will be the main 3. So I'm going to start with sprinting. So the races for sprinting include a 60 meter, which is on the indoor season only, and they don't usually do it in high school. It's usually a college only thing. And then the 100 meter and the 110 meter hurdles, or the 100 meter hurdles for the women's. 200 meter, 400 meter sprint, and the 400 meter hurdle, which is a men's outdoor event. So to kind of start off, just do some like simple warm-up drills. Do like your normal like lunges, just typical stuff you do for most sports, whatever. And then there's different types of workouts you can do. For example, there's short intervals with high rest. So you do, for example, you do a 6 sets or 6 by 200 meters sprints. You sprint maybe like you do like a 27, 28 seconds, and then you take like a 60-second rest, and then you do that 6 times. So that's intervals. You can do ladders, which is like you start at one distance and you go up a little bit and then come back down. So you can do like a 50 meter, 100 meter, 200 meter, 400, and then go back down 200, 150, and you can get breaks between 30 seconds and a minute maybe, and you do a couple sets. One that my mom really likes to do with her sprinters at the high school level is called the Miracle Mile, where you run a mile, but you do, so it's 4 laps on the track. Between each lap you do a set of core, maybe it's push-ups, sit-ups, something like that, and then she has them run the bleachers, and then they go back to do another lap. They do that several times for a mile. And there's also weight training, which is extremely important. It helps prevent muscle injuries or bone injuries, helps prevent stress fractures or pull muscles, just some stuff like that. So examples of sets to do is like squats, core, bench press. For sprinting, it's a lot of like fast twitch muscles, which is kind of what gives you your explosiveness. So that's sprinting. Middle distance is my personal favorite. That's why I run here at Grace. I run the 400 and the 800, a little bit of mile. The races include the 400, the 400-meter hurdles, the 600, which is an indoor race, the 1200, which is an indoor race and a relay. And then there's the miles kind of included, and then the 800 as well. So different training for that. Repeats is kind of the same as sprints. You do like we do a lot of like say sets of 800s. We do like 4x800 or 6x800, something like that, with different like rests that's close to the same amount of time we're running. We do a lot of recovery runs, so let's do like a 30 to 60 minute easy pace. Say like a for us it's about 7:30 to 9 minute mile pace. It depends on who you are, what your level is. So this kind of helps get your muscles to relax, loosen up, and to recover from whatever injuries you have. Get rid of some of the lactic acid buildup. We also do quite a bit of weight training. A little bit more of the slow twitch muscles, which is more for endurance and less for the explosiveness, so we can maintain our speed throughout the whole race. We do a lot of squats without weights, just like just body weight squats, or push-ups, sit-ups, simple stuff like that. Long distance running is it's called the thinking man's race, because you have a lot of time to think in the races. Like some races can last up to 1 minute to marathon, which can be over a couple hours. But at this level, the collegiate level, the races include the mile, which is an indoor race, the 3K, which is an indoor race, 3,000 meter, the 5K, the 8K, which is just under 5 miles. That's what we run for men's cross country. Women do a 5K. Then there's the 10K, 15K, and 25K, and then the half marathon. The marathon it's not done so much at this level unless you go into nationals. So we do a lot of repeats, just like the middle distance, a lot of the same ones, except for maybe at a slower pace, and we'll do more of them, like we'll do like 16 400s, something like that. We do a lot of tempo runs, which is you go off like a 15-minute run, and then you speed up at a roughly race pace for like 20 minutes or so, and then you back down to a slower pace to cool off again. Or kind of back it down. We do fartleks, which is it's kind of like a tempo run, but rather than go on the same pace the whole time, you speed up or slow down you speed up for like 2 minutes and then slow down for a minute. That works on a little bit of speed and endurance at the same time. That's a pretty key workout for long distance and a little bit for middle distance too, I suppose. We also do longer runs, which vary depending on who you are and what workouts you've done in the week. It goes a lot of times between 60 minutes and 100 minutes, again depending on the level. Here at Grace, we average probably about 75 minutes for long runs, maybe 90 minutes on a big day. And then we also do recovery runs just like the middle distance. And then weight training is mostly low weight, so we do like high reps, but not a whole lot of weight with it. Again, that's just to build up kind of a core and get a base going so you don't get hurt. So in conclusion, there's 3 main distance categories: there's short, middle, and long, or the sprints, middle distance, and long distance. They all have different forms of training, and they do all different types of training, train different parts. But they're all super important in becoming a better runner, and especially the collegiate level. And there's also a lot of weight training you have to do, like I said, for injury prevention and stuff like that. So, like I said at the beginning, I think running is important in life, or physical activity is important in life. I think it helps maintain a healthy lifestyle, and it can help with heart disease and stuff like that. Heart disease is one of the biggest killers in America. I actually think it's the biggest one. So I think physical activity is really important. So I'd like to challenge you guys to try to do at least some physical activity every week. Maybe it's a couple times a week, whether it's basketball, volleyball, or just hang out with some friends, lifting weights, or something like that.
All right. You are on.
Imagine this with me. You're a 13-year-old having a great time 11 hours away from home. When suddenly you get a call from a family friend and they say your mom is in the hospital and it doesn't look good. My topic today is heart disease, heart problems, heart issues. My experience in it is great. Everybody that has died in my family has died of some heart-related issue. If it's enlarged heart attack, just closed arteries. And then I also got some of my information from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. About 610,000 people die a year from heart-related issue. Everyone knows roughly about 200 people, I would say, so far in their life, and 1 in 4 people die of heart attacks, just regular heart attacks. So that's about 50 people. In my speech, I'm going to tell you guys how heart problems arise, how you can deal with them, and the tests that can arise from them. First of all, I'm going to explain how they arise. I'm going to explain some of them and then give some descriptions. Heart attack is the very first one. The description is a sudden and sometimes fatal occurrence of coronary you never say this word? Thrombus, typically resulting in the death of a part of heart muscle. A heart attack occurs when one or more of the coronary arteries become blocked. Then what my mom died from was an enlarged heart or a cardiomegaly, abnormal enlargement of the heart. This condition results from high blood pressure or coronary artery disease. An enlarged heart may not pump blood efficiently, resulting in cognitive, I can say that word, heart failure. So that usually consists of a lot of sodium in a diet or just not getting exercise like you should. Usually people with a heart problem usually have diabetes or high blood pressure or I can't think right now. Now that you know some of the issues, let's move into the testing issue. There are a lot of tests that come with heart-related issues. The most common is blood test and chest x-rays, but that's not all that can be done. Some of the tests that happened to my family regularly were echocardiogram, a test of an action of the heart using ultrasound waves to produce a visual display used for the diagnosis or monitoring of a heart disease. Cardiac catheterization. During cardiac catheterization, a long thin tube called a catheter, which most of you probably have heard of at some point, is inserted into an artery or a vein in your groin, neck, or arm, and threaded through your blood vessels to your heart. And then the one that happened the most in my family was the electrocardiogram. A record or display of a person's heart produced by electrocardiography. It's pretty much the thing where it measures the pumps of the blood, the heart. Now that you know some of the issues and testing that comes with it, I'm going to tell you how you can possibly control the problem. There are a lot of ways that you can possibly work for controlling or preventing heart disease. The top one is get a healthy diet. Limiting how much saturated and trans fats you eat is an important step to produce your blood cholesterol and lower your risk of coronary artery disease. Manage stress and anger. That's big in my family. I gotta start doing that. Exercise can help with anger. Bring down your general stress levels in exercise and relaxation. Then get active. get out of your normal routine or set a normal routine, like to get out with friends or get involved in the community, is really good. Today I covered heart issues, testing that is needed, and how you can possibly control the issue. Not very well, but as was mentioned before, 1 in 4 people die a year from heart issues. It can be a stranger, a teacher, a friend, even a parent. You never know. I hope that I was able to inform you enough and be able to inform others that you can.
Thank you very much.
Torch, I didn't want to do this.